Okay, nothing new since last week. This one is ready to be shipped, so I'll check with Benedek to see what we're waiting for. Orchard core. Orchard core. So 7 days ago, and apparently origin dev. That's what Jean-Terry told me to do. Let's do that first, just to see what's already merged. Rename Orchard field. This is casing issue. Adding more GraphQL documentation. Oh, beautiful documentation, actually. So I fixed that. What I did is that if we, let me show you, because the documentation is uploaded automatically. So if we go to that slash, I don't know what slash, latest, no, dev. If we go to dev, I am screen sharing and everyone but Derek can see my screen apparently. I can see that Derek can't see. You need to restart maybe, Derek. Let's give Derek 1 minute. Okay, crossing fingers. Derek still can't see. Not watching the presentation. It says Derek is not watching the presentation. So I have an issue with your client, Derek, because everyone else can see my screen. And I can see you can't see because it says not watching the presentation. You should watch the presentation. That's weird. Yeah, I don't know. I have nothing to do on my side. So I will go on. So I was saying, if I go on GraphQL, I have 2 sections now. This one for the module itself, the GraphQL module, which explains how to send queries. And there are many ways actually to send a GraphQL query. You can do a GET request with the payload inside the query string, okay, with the query parameter. And then you can send a POST request with the application JSON content type, in which case the body will be a JSON document containing also the query itself and the operation name if your query contains multiple operations, and variables if you want to send parameters to your query. You can also use application GraphQL, in which case the body will contain the full query as is. The response will always be data errors as a JSON document, and that's it. And you can also use the query string even on a post. It will work also the same way the GET request will work. So that's from the spec, and that explains how to send the queries. And then what type of queries you can use is from the CMS section, GraphQL, no, content probably, contents, and then you will have a GraphQL section with all the types of queries you can send. You see blog post and what you return, explaining what you can type and in the query arguments, and as the result here, all the properties you have access to for a content item, and what you can type with order by, multiple order bys, filtering a single filter, how to filter by publication status, how to filter by properties, also all the arguments you can put in here, like in contains. Oh, I don't think I actually list all the filters, like contains and starts with and with. They are displayed automatically, but that should be good to document them. The logical operators and or not. First skip, see here, and that's it. Okay, but that's a good starting point for documentation. Then if I go back there, add admin trees module. So we merged the admin trees module from Matthias, and I've seen some feedback already that it works well for people. There are some small issues in the way the default menus are rendered, in my opinion, but we can tweak it. It should be easy. And you can change it as you want also. Improve content picker result display text from Alex. The idea is that if you have a content item that doesn't have a display text, then it will use the ID and the content type. Let me see. It will use the content type and the ID. Okay. And even when you do a toString from view, if there is no display text, it will render something still. Fixing GraphQL test from Jean-Thierry. Adding dynamic content part templates. This is based on Alex also PR and issue that was reported. If you created a dynamic content part, which is not quite often, so that's why we didn't see the issue, you could not change the templates for that. So now it's fixed. Yep, nothing special in the implementation. Documenting site building strategies based on some feedback, explaining that you can use Orchard as a full CMS, a decoupled CMS, or headless CMS. At least it's listing the modes. We don't have any documentation, written documentation about how to do these things. So maybe we might want an article explaining the differences and where to start from to use that modes. Some editing while reading. Jean has been fixing the typos. Fix double selected menus in the case of two admin tree nodes, which will point to the same URL. The question is which one should we highlight as selected, and this one is adding a new property called selection priority on each link admin tree node, or each admin tree node, so that if there is a conflict with two URLs, two links pointing to the same URL, then you can change which one will be selected by default with a priority. Antoine fixing the documentation index to add the pointer to the README for the admin trees, which means we should have it here somewhere. Or because it's not ordered alphabetically. Okay, admin trees. Okay, technical documentation. Option to set lifespan of SAS token from HttpRequestEvent. So when we have a webhook in the workflow module and it exposes a URL to trigger this webhook, then by default it will last 7 days. So after that your link will not work anymore. So now you have an option to change how long does the link you generate will last. And it can be indefinite by setting 0 as the number of days the link should last. Updating YesSQL. So James made a fix on YesSQL because when you will call the get async with a list of IDs, the order will not be kept. And so he fixed it in YesSQL and then updated the YesSQL version. Fix pager top margin. Jasmine fixed some margins for the pagers. Link to GraphQL in README. Okay, thank you. I didn't know what to type, so I was expecting you to catch it, and you did. Thank you. Then upgrade fontawesome. I merged this morning, updating fontawesome and fontawesome-iconpicker, and this is fixing a wrong label link, and that's it. Does anyone have demos? And I don't think I have any from the changes here. I don't have any. Let me check if I remove the filter, if I'm missing anything. Like if I'm missing anything here, it must be from PRs. So Jean-Thierry is still working on distributed PR. Jasmine working on validating the SMTP form. This is a PR to fix the menu caching, and I think the only fix he's doing is just naming, like to get the names from Razor tag and Liquid tag to be the same. Because if you look at the README here, it's just changing the fixed duration to fixed duration. Here, this is Liquid, this is Razor. Okay, Razor tag name, Razor Liquid. So it's just changing the Liquid ones to match the Razor ones. And I'm not sure if we have the Razor ones matching what the MVC tag helpers do already. Maybe that's what we used. So I don't know why we had a discrepancy. The only issue with this PR is that it will be a break-in change. Anyone who's using the shape menu, the menu shape in their templates, will break the caching. So maybe we should do it in 2 steps, like support the new one. Let me see how I did that actually. No, I did. Or maybe no, that's weird. I don't get it. Only that it's only changing the names here, and not the logic itself. So is the logic already that, and we made a mistake with these parameters? Maybe that's it, and then I will merge ASAP. Working on distributed thing, tenant workflows. So Antoine updating his PR with tenants based on feedback from, I assume, Thursday. Hosted service, this is the background tasks, and that's about it. Okay, that's it for the news. So what happened last week? Enough support for standard type? Nope, doesn't affect us. We just target .NET Core. Then topics. So we have James Ristol, who's working on a .NET, well, CLI, and I'm not sure he created. Yes, we created an issue for that. So let me open that topic. This one. So I find an issue explaining we should have a .NET Global tool as a CLI. Okay, we have templates today with .NET New. This should work only using REST API. So the idea is that in Orchard 1, maybe I already talked about it. Maybe not. In Orchard 1, we have a .NET CLI, and yeah, I think I already talked about it. Did I? Can someone confirm or not confirm? Worst case, I repeat myself. We have a .NET CLI in Orchard 1 that's loading all the tenants in memory. That's super not useful. What we want is a CLI that can talk to existing sites, but still be able to create new sites if there are none by default. So the idea will be that this new CLI will use only REST API or only APIs, okay, web APIs, so that we can talk to an existing instance, running instance, and affect that. So James looked at it. We had some discussions with Kevin about authentication, and James wants to use only GraphQL because we can get data and we can do also mutations to call into services that will change data or change behavior. And he did something. He did a simple test to have a CLI working. He used Node for that, NPM, I think. Node. and then where did he say that? So that it will node-based CLI, and why is using Node? It's because there are so many packages already existing to manipulate GraphQL and introspect the schema from GraphQL that he preferred to do that. The idea is that each module provides some description in the GraphQL for mutations, and this tool is able to invoke the schema of GraphQL and map all the mutations into command lines. So this thing will show up based on the GraphQL endpoint. So it's completely dynamic. So when you connect to the machine, it will tell you what you have access to, what you can do with the CLI, all the commands and the parameters you can call into. Orchard vote -h. So you can, I assume, have a first command to list all the commands, and then for each command it will show you all the parameters, like orchard vote on repository submission, blah blah. Oh, this is an example, and yep, that's the idea. And the last thing he did was using node services, so you don't have to install, well, you don't have to use the node tooling directly. It will just bootstrap Node inside .NET. It's a library that embeds Node in .NET, and this way it's just, yeah, it's packing a .NET global tool, and then you can use the global tool directly. Okay, and I assume he's using that as a mocking tool for GraphQL endpoint to validate his thing. So that's the idea. I suggested to not use Node because I prefer not to use it if we can not use it, so we can only be dependent on .NET. And there might be some things to implement to read the GraphQL data, but I think that should be fine. We'll have to follow up on that to see what we can do. But that's the idea of the .NET CLI, and James has already started to look into that. What am I missing? What else happened? We had a triage meeting on Thursday, so yeah, Imanshu has created a pull request recipe migrations, which will allow for running a recipe as part of migration. And this PR also, so you see here, if you take the example of the menu module, which is creating a content type from the migration from C#. Now the idea is that to run just a recipe file from the migration as part of the standard migration step. And this file is this one, so it might be easier to maintain the content type definitions or content from data migration. Okay, because these things we can export it, and that might be simpler to write than try to understand this syntax. Here it looks like bigger, but it's just because there are lots of values it's setting that could be optional and could have their default values. Okay, or maybe this one is more complete than the migration from C# code. But that's the beginning, and that's nice because you can, anything you can do in a recipe now you can call from migration. So I will have to review that. And let's check the other PRs. Nothing special here, all the same old ones. I will try to review soon. Some of them have already been merged and closed, so that's good. Or waiting for feedback. Next one in line should be reCAPTCHA because we already reviewed it, and I talked to Mathis also. Questions? Topics? Whatever. We have time.
Could you, hey Sebastian, this is Manchu. Could you point me to the video that talks about doing the full versus the disconnected CMS? We talked about it in Gitter a while ago.
Full decoupled headless.
Yes,
video.
Thank you.
Yeah, it must be on YouTube. I assume Gabor posted them, so it must be on the long. I'm sure if we look at Lombic,
yes, you can find it on Lombic's channel.
And Lombic, but if I look at your blog, Lombic, because you do some news, and so okay, maybe this one. What is the blog for the
Orcharddojo.net?
So you said Orchard.
Orcharddojo.net.
.net. And then decoupled. Does the search work? Wow, the search works. But it returns everything. So let's see.
The third one will be that.
So this one is September 11, and this one.
That's
Yes, this was the first attempt, and this is the second attempt. And decouple CMS. Yes. Differences. So yeah, I think that's what you will want. And this video can also be found on YouTube. Okay, so that's what you need. So I will share it in the chat. And at some point we'll have one for the headless scenario with the GraphQL. But yeah, the decouple is the best one if you want to build a new site, in my opinion. If you don't care about the flow part, well, at least if you don't care that much about the flow part or the layers, then you should go with decoupled. There's still a way to use the flow part in decoupled. You just need to do a for loop and a switch to check which widget and how to render them. But yeah, that's the idea. Yep. Other questions? What I miss here? Okay, just talking about the net standard, I assume. Okay. Questions, comments, topics? Nothing. So an update on beta 3. I love that we look into shipping by the end of the month or beginning of December. We have, I think, everything that was blocking beta 3. Taxonomies is almost ready. Just need to create the PR and merge it, but it's working. Some people are using it. We have the GraphQL, brand new features like the admin trees. So we should look into fixing the P1s and P0s bugs to ship it. I will look also into defining a few features that like to be done for beta 3. I'll update the roadmap for that. But yeah, and also we should sync with the Netcore .NET ASP.NET 2.2 release. So we'll wait for that to be able to ship, so we can also upgrade directly to 2.2. But only ship when 2.2 is already released, because we need a new SDK. Yep, so that's the goal. Give us 2 or 3 weeks to ship a beta 3. It's pretty stable, so we just need to fix the P1 and P0 bugs, and we should be ready. Okay, that's it. If you don't have any more questions, topics. David, you're working on the Let's Encrypt module, right?
I haven't even started yet.
That's okay. I haven't.
I was on vacation last week. So.
I haven't either. That's okay. Don't worry. I looked into how to do things. I found some things. If you want to talk, I found a repository that does most of the things, and also I found an extensibility point in a Kestrel that would let us switch certificates dynamically based on tenant. Should be super easy and should be awesome. I'll show you. So in the end, that shouldn't be that hard to support Let's Encrypt with multi-tenant automatically. We'll see. Okay, good. That's it then. I hope there will be more demos next week. I will try my best to do some things that can be demoed. And yeah, good. So next meeting on Thursday for triage, and next one next week. Thanks everyone. See you next week.